We are here to talk about impactful AI workflows. My name is Michaela. I am on the customer success team here at Airtable. I focus on AI programs, and I have the unique honor today facilitating this amazing conversation with two experts. So we're going to just have them introduce themselves. Jen, go ahead.
Hi there, I'm Jen Rudd of Rudd Consulting. We've been doing business process automation since 2011, working with Airtable since 2018. I'm also the AI group leader, so if you have not joined Airtable community, definitely check that out. It's community.airtable.com. Join us. We have different focus groups. We have meetings once a month for a lot of the groups, so definitely check us out. And when you're there, say hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Josh Curry. I'm a senior director at Code in Theory, which is a creative technology agency doing digital and business transformation for some of the world's largest brands. My official job description is I lead the product group within production. My unofficial job description is I bring Airtable and Airtable AI to every inefficient process I can possibly find.
Amazing. Well, thank you both for taking the time today, and thank you for hanging out with us and talking about practical, real use cases around an AI and AI workflows. So you're going to walk away today being able to answer this question a little bit better, right? What makes a great AI use case? You might be, working with customers. It's often what's the good fit? What's the right processes that I should start to enhance with AI? And by the end of the next 20 minutes or so, you'll have a better idea of some of those examples. And something to call out, a pattern that we've seen a lot, is looking for repetition, looking for a process that has a lot of repeatability. I mean, AI falls under an umbrella of automation. So thinking through those types of processes. So today's session, it's almost, we're going to run through some questions. It's going to be structured. There's 5 key use cases that we've seen, patterns that we've seen, customers using Airtable AI sort of bubbled up. And if you've attended some of the previous sessions, this might start to be a theme here. Document analysis, synthesizing trends, content automation, web research, and then using the assistant. So as we go through each one of these, asking yourself, is this a process that's happening in my work, in my organization, daily, weekly, monthly, even quarterly, right? If the answer is yes, that might be a potential AI use case. So let's jump into it. Asking the group this question: how often is your team processing long, complex documents? And if the answer is daily, maybe weekly. Document analysis. This is any type of complex PDF. Oh, you want to scoot over a little bit. There you go. Won't be blinded by the light there. If you've got contracts, resumes, anything that takes a bit more metadata extraction. So you might be a strong fit for this type of workflow. And we have a great example here. Hand it over to you, Josh.
Yeah, so speaking of recognizing patterns, we have an AI Slack channel with hundreds of people in our company. Every couple of days, I see somebody Slack in a large PDF of a Forrester analyst research report. You probably heard Howie mention that today. Those are like 50, 100, 200 pages. And this poor guy gets asked, what's the TLDR? What does it mean for me? And I actually literally have watched him try to answer that for a bunch of different people. So the idea with this workflow is, you can drop in that PDF into, a form. And we have a few key fields. Some obvious ones are what's the executive summary? Another one are what are some key takeaways that are actionable insights for everyone? But then where it starts to get a little more powerful is when we extract out the industries that are most impacted by, in this use case, specifically AI, because it's all AI reports. And then from there, we've developed a series of vertical industry-specific prompts to build out our, the relevant insights for each of those industries. So, and you can actually see that in the next slide. On the left, here's like the easy, straightforward, the very first one, key takeaways. You give it the context. Who are you? What are you looking for? What do you want to find? But on the right, you can see where, if you leverage the relational aspect of Airtable's database and you have like your industries table and you provide it with a prompt and challenges and priorities, then you can get really powerful with the specific insights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and looking at these two prompts, very, very different, right? We have the single source, that one report, and then a more complicated, a little more complex in terms of just sourcing data here. And are you chaining in this? Are you like referencing an AI field and then pulling that in?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. So it's looking at AI exec summary and key takeaways already, and then considering it within there, and like chaining the AI is an incredibly powerful tool.
Awesome. All right. So for our second use case, how often is your team reviewing and tagging data for insights? So this could be any type of maybe form submission or analysis your team is running. Synthesizing trends, understanding the patterns within that data that you are reviewing. This could look like surveys or intake forms, requests, product feedback, and all of that being captured inside Airtable.
And so we work a lot with the intersection of teams. We work in a lot of retail, a lot of marketing, a lot of product, and we also work in the intersection of different verticals and different business units within the organization. So thinking about, for a CPG brand, having a product feedback form where we're asking consumers where they purchased the product, giving feedback, specific feedback about packaging, their taste, how they feel about the brand in general, and getting that information pulled into Airtable. Normally, you would have an analyst go through and then take the sentiment and have to manage those requests or that feedback. So it would take a lot of time and a lot of energy to figure out what the sentiment was, and then try to package that up for the product team and for the marketing team. Next slide. We can go now into the fact that we are able to get all that information into an Airtable base and then be able to categorize using Airtable AI fields, such as the single select fields. We can use AI to power them in order to categorize the sentiment for all of these products, all of these feedbacks for the product. So it's very helpful to get that information and process that without that human interaction. And then next, we can actually roll that up into the product itself. So here we can see that cold brew product, and we can take all that feedback, synthesize the feedback, and get marketing recommendations and then product recommendations. So you see the intersection of how feedback can feed workflows and feedback loops for both teams, instead of having to have a feedback form for product and one that maybe marketing would get after the fact.
Yeah, and I mean, just thinking about this use case, last use case we saw, it's all about layering, right? Layering different data, maybe at a granular level, that single piece of feedback, all the way up to an aggregate product. So really, really compelling. All right, and we also have an example of the prompt.
Yes, and definitely there's also, if you've seen the long text field was the only AI field, and then the last week or so, there's been a rollout where you're actually able to have the AI do single select fields and do other kinds of formats. So in addition to that, it's not just saying, hey, take these fields and give me, a sentiment analysis. You can actually prompt it. So we had talked earlier today about having that ability to tell the AI what their point of view is, what kind of role they're playing in that analysis, and then giving that analysis and giving more feedback, and then using that to output a sentiment. So you're doing that analyst processing within an AI field.
Yeah, so if there is a single select that you're using in your process today, that could be an AI field. It could be powered by AI. So this is just one example of that, but awesome. All right, third use case here. How often is your team conducting web research? I mean, we're all on the internet, we're searching the web all the time, but layering in Airtable makes this a very interesting and compelling use case, because you could use AI to enrich what you're already doing. I mean, a big challenge is making sure that the data in your app is you have a lot of governance. You can fill out all those key details. And using the web, you can conduct research very, very quickly and have a really solid data set that's unique and personalized to what your team cares about. So monthly trends, research, competitive insights, looking at intel on maybe the latest news for specific organizations you're paying attention to. So Josh, over to you on this one.
Yeah, so whenever we start our product audits for any of our work, we typically start with a UX heuristic audit. For folks who aren't familiar, it's, to oversimplify it intentionally, it's a structured way to analyze usability, user experience problems on a site. Typically, it's a human that's going through and looking at the site from a page architecture perspective, user intent, UX issues, criticality, and then trying to make some user experience recommendations. And that's good and that's important. We'll still have humans do that, but to do that at scale is quite time-consuming and lengthy. So what we've been able to do here is each record is a different URL of our clients' sites, and then also our clients' competitors' sites and pages, and we're able to have each of those 5 fields look at, from the page hierarchy or from the page architecture perspective, understand things like hierarchy on the page, use of content versus images, is the copy on brand, that sort of thing, user intent match, like who are the users, what are their jobs to be done, and then what are the user experience problems, are we achieving those? And then on the next slide, actually I think, so there's that page architecture, and that's the first prompt. So you always want to, at least I would recommend, always starting with like the easiest prompt, especially when you're building the kind of chain and build. But then over here on the right is like after we've done that AI analysis on the page architecture and we understand the users and the jobs to be done and we've identified problems and we understand some of the criticality, so we have some idea of prioritization, we also have the output of like user experience recommendations. So again, that can turn 2 weeks of work into 2 hours. And we get to focus then, again, as humans, being creative and strategic much more quickly on the highest priority pages, items, and functionality for our client work.
Awesome. And I mean, just looking at these prompts, right? We're giving the AI a persona, you're a user experience expert, and we're chaining these together. So based on what prompt number 1 sort of provides us, we can then leverage that in this next prompt. So it's almost like a collaboration, a chaining together. All right, 4th use case here. How often do you write and publish content? And thinking about content both internally, I mean, where you might be in Slack or another messaging app every single day. You need to communicate to your team, produce content there, but also externally to maybe your customers, newsletters, that sort of thing. So content automation, automating a part of that step. This could just be getting to first draft faster. I definitely would recommend, always reviewing anything that goes out into the world. Maybe not autonomously publishing to a social media platform, but email campaigns, social posts. These are language models. This is really what they're good at. But can you have it generate content in your brand voice, in the right length, to your preference?
And we see this content generation both in marketing teams and comms teams, especially when there's kind of structured information, a brand voice, things that you already have, attributes about a product that you're selling. So we're able to, I call it my magic trick, the 1-minute campaign generator. So basically, we fill in a form, we decide what the campaign is about, and then we put a start date, an end date, a category, and an offer. We started from this concept of campaign down because a lot of times we work with teams where they're coming from creative production requests or they're coming from channel activity planning, but they're not taking that roadmap that the overall marketing organization is working and then having that campaign integrate today. So we're saying from a top-down approach, how do we unfurl this campaign, have a work plan for all the activities, all the assets for the activities, and also those launch dates for those different channels. So because we have all this information, we're able to use record templates in Airtable. We have repeatable processes. We have recipes. We can build out that campaign quickly, but we're also able to start generating content to be a starting point, or even create creative prompts for the creative team so that they know not only what they're trying to put together, but they also have that information to be able to start without having to look at a blank page and think through all those spreadsheets that they're currently working on. We also use the linked record AI function to say here, we know for this category, these are the offers that best match that category. So we know for kids separates, 30% off is an easy sell. You can also do this at the channel level and so forth, but we're leveraging AI, we're leveraging automation, and we're leveraging the functionality of Airtable to get that campaign process started, be able to see what those calendars look like, and even start planning out resourcing because we know what that load of a campaign is going to look like for the entire team.
And I mean, just looking at this GIF here, it looks like dozens of pieces of content basically generated in just a matter of seconds.
Yes, definitely.
So really, really exciting stuff. All right, our 5th example, not necessarily framed as a question, but a really exciting new capability. So, I mean, really, we're here today to share, and celebrate the latest launch around Airtable Assistant. A lot of capabilities here on a couple different levels. You can start to create and build in Airtable even faster using natural language. So just requesting an interface, a dashboard, an automation, all of a sudden becomes a possibility with this. So definitely suggest folks try that out. Asking a question against your data. So the richer the data set, the better the type of insights you'll be able to get. And then layering in the internet. So searching the internet within the assistant. So really, let's look at a couple examples here. Start with you, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, so that previous workflow in the PDF, I think that's valuable in and of itself for a single PDF when you upload it. But now with the assistant, we're going to be able to get compounding effects, right? The more data that gets uploaded, the more relevant information there is for different individuals, because we've taken these static PDFs into structured and scalable intel. And I actually, earlier today, my CEO Slacked me, and he was like, Josh, you have like some top-of-mind pitch deck examples, that talk about the following 3 things. And I was like, no, but I can build you that in Airtable, so you don't have to ask me all the time.
Awesome. And then we also, Jen, you have an example here.
Yeah, so we were using that feedback form from earlier. We get a lot of questions. Like, I was in accounting for 10 years before we actually started the business. And I always got can you pull this report? Well, can you pull this report? Can you turn it this way? And can you also pivot it? So a lot of times it's about that report pulling, can you give me that information? And being able to do it in natural language. It's been really beneficial. I think that what we see here is that we're asking, is there any difference in the pricing feedback depending on where the person purchased that product? Because that's something that would be coming out of insights, but maybe not categorized directly in feedback or on the product, but something that you can ask and get more information. We love the AI assistant because it not only tells you it's thinking, it gives you the logic behind the thoughts, and then it also cites where all of that information is coming from, so you know it's not coming in a vacuum. So it's great to give it to that user who says, I just want to ask questions of my base instead of having to build a new dashboard, become a data scientist. And now we even see that you can create dashboards from prompts in the AI chatbot, which is amazing. So it goes back to like, I can pull a report for you, or you can just pull it yourself. Is like a next level thing, but it also helps you take even more insight out of what all that data that you're putting in the base, and really getting those teams to get rid of those spreadsheets, because they know if they put their data all in the same place, you can get to this level of being able to pull that information and have better insight into everything that you're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's a big differentiator, right? With Airtable, you can have and store your novel data. I mean, you could interact with a chatbot, maybe like ChatGPT or Claude, and those do have access to the internet, but within Airtable, how unique that data set is to you, it becomes more valuable as you enrich that. So you're really developing your own sort of model almost on top, or at least like a data set that you can query. So that is all 5 use cases, and hopefully, we have just a few minutes left. We can maybe have 1 or 2 questions, but hopefully, turning it back to this group, right? What AI use cases are top of mind for you? And if any of these sort of stood out, maybe some patterns within your work that might be a great use case. But thank you, Jen and Josh. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah. So I think we have time for there might be a mic floating around so everyone can hear. I see. Okay, awesome.
So I saw you were asking about the price sensitivity in different regions on the Cobra in the last example. I'm wondering if there's any sort of it finds 1 or 2, or if it's counting the number of responses in one retail segment and saying, okay, this is the majority of responses saying this. Have you run into any issues with it finding an outlier and then saying that back to you at all? Or is it pretty good at saying, there are 500 cases of this, 200 cases of this, we're going to go with the 500 cases?
I think what's nice is it's not just giving you a response, it's not giving you an answer. It actually gives you here's the feedback. We saw it at these types of location. We're getting this type of feedback. We use Airtable for our project management, and it was nice because I had questions around a project that we're working on. It first looks for that project because that's a tag. It looks for scoping meetings, that's a tag. So it has the ability, as long as your data is structured in a meaningful way, it can return those results and then also tell you why it like answered by location. So I think it's really good and it's really concise, but it's not just going to be like this location. It's really telling you, it's communicating with you about what that data is telling it.
I'd also say, just to add there, it's a language model. It's not a calculator. So that is a very like number-driven question. I think tinkering with it, seeing like, and stress test it, right? I could also, in my brain, I might imagine creating a grouping of like 500 in this region and 200 in that region. Did it get it right, right? Like I think we want to kind of push the limit. It's brand new functionality, so. And if the answer is like wildly off, please tell us and reach out to us and let us know. Like this is a back and forth, and it's an exciting time. But definitely.
It also tells you how many records it processed, and like if there's like of the number of records, here's many that processed. So there is more logic behind it. It's like do you want to keep going, or is that enough data to give you an answer?
Yep.
Thank you.
I see a question over here. Maybe this is our last one, just for time.
Jen.
You mentioned the idea of like instead of someone constantly coming to ask you a question, go do it yourself, right? Handing it off. How does I don't know if you can talk about this, but how does the AI pricing model work for those who want to have them ask questions?
I'll repeat the question for the group.
Yeah.
How does the AI pricing model work for those that are asked or that want to ask the question if they're in their own environment? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be a licensed user.
Do you want me to answer it? Or
Yeah, I
okay.
don't know how to answer that.
Happy to. So it's licenses are assigned at the use case level. So, the workspace level. So you have credits allocated into a workspace. So I know obviously you have your business and working with clients, so they would probably need to have AI enabled. Oftentimes when we run customer events or demos, we'll have folks join an Airtable workspace and sort of let them, it's a sandbox just to start to tinker. I'm not sure the partner strategy exactly there.
Yeah, everyone kind of has their own instance, so it's really like in their own solution. We go in there and help them build it out, and then this panels live there. But I think like answering like the question of like, is it like it's a editor seat basically? It would.
Yeah, you need to be an editor.
Okay, so it's an editor seat for that instance. You can also turn on and off the AI assistant on the interface level, but my rule of thumb is that nobody should be in the data layer, just in general. But I think that it does open up the opportunity to create new interfaces. So I would say that would be a builder, right? If they're able to build a new dashboard with the AI chatbot.
Yes, that sounds, creator.
Yeah, so you have to be a creator in the base level in order for it to create a new dashboard, but you can be an editor in the interface level to ask a question. I don't know what the credits cost.
Each assistant costs 10 credits.
Okay.
So that's just something.
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. We do have this QR code here. If you can provide us some feedback on the event. Thank you again for joining us today. Really, really lovely. And thank you to our experts here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Al.